Okay, great. So, quick question. Did everybody get my email, uh, was it last week, a week and a half ago? Did anybody not get an email from me? Okay, perfect. That means I have your email. If you do not receive an email from me by the end of today, email me. Just let me know, because I just want to make sure that everyone's getting the stuff that I'll be sending out. Let's do a quick overview of the materials of the course. So you have a couple of things in front of you, pieces of paper, and these two books. This book that says A Primer of Biblical Greek by Clayton Croy is going to be one of our primary texts. It's just a standard grammar textbook. Think of it like a manual with some exercises in it to the Greek language. Very important note about this book. I do not want you to make any marks of it on it in pen. You can write in it in pencil, and you can put post-it notes in it, but no pen. The reason is because you're constantly going to be referring back to this, and if you make a note in it while you're learning, a couple weeks from now, when you look back, you may say, wow, I really wish I hadn't written that like I understand now. So feel free to write in it, but write it in pencil. Our second book, this is one of my favorite books in the whole world, is A Greek Reader by Mark Zhang. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. A little bit different. Do not make any marks in this book whatsoever. Now, it's yours to keep, but don't make any marks. If you must, put a post-it note in, write on the post-it note, but no marks in this book. The reason is because when you read this book, we're trying to get fully immersed in the Greek language. And you're going to be reading primarily through this text to learn the language. And if you're underlining things or writing English, your brain is going to zip over to that, process the English, and it's going to disrupt the flow of your reading. So any notes in this, make sure it's in a post-it note, okay? So we got to make sure that we keep this clean. This book, Mark Zhang, is sort of the benchmark about whether or not you're ready to progress to the next chapter. If you just stay on the study schedule that we'll be going over, you won't have anything to worry about. What that means is by the time we start lesson 3, you should be able to read lesson 2 in this, no problem. By the time we start lesson 4, you need to make sure you can read lesson 3. Again, if you just stay on the schedule that we'll be on, you shouldn't have any problem with that. I want this book to be one of your best friends. If you're an employee here, leave it on your desk. If you're an employee elsewhere, see if you can leave it at your desk or wherever your place of work is. And then whenever you get a spare minute, just kind of open it up and peruse it just to keep your mind in the Greek language. What this book is a collection of short stories that are sort of fan fiction of the New Testament in the style of the Chosen, in which there are, you hear about Paul and Onesimus and how they get to know each other, and you hear about some backstory of Moses, all stuff that's not in the Bible, but they complement the text. It makes it very entertaining to read. It slowly layers on the Greek language. It starts with very basic vocabulary, very basic grammar, and it just slowly gives you more and more every chapter. So that by the time you finish reading this book, you can set it aside, pick up the Gospel of John, and then just read that. And then once you can read the Gospel of John, then you're ready to just read the rest of the New Testament at your pleasure. So really what we're trying to drive through at the end of this course is to be able to read this. Got it? So, all right. I'm going to go over some documents real quick. You'll be receiving everything in an email. But I'm going to put it up here so you see it first, and I'm not going to try and scare you with it. This is sort of our study schedule. You don't have to do everything on here, but if you stay on pace with this study schedule, you won't have a problem keeping up with the course. What this is, it's broken down by day. So Sunday, that's today, it's blanked out because there is no homework tonight. Monday, starting tomorrow, you have your 15 to 20 minutes of studying every day. Now, you study what you think you need to focus on, but if you start studying and you say, I don't know what to study, just follow this schedule, and you'll be all set. So Monday, and at the end of today's class, I'll be going over exactly what you'll be doing in the next 2 weeks. But you see I've got some hyperlinks here. Click on that. It'll take you to a YouTube video or a web page. Over on this side, I've got some notes that just give a little explanation about that assignment. You'll see that you have some reading here. Let's parse this out. It says, read the Greek alphabet, Croy 1. What that means is you take out the book by Clayton Croy, you turn to page 1, and then you just read that section that says the Greek alphabet. Got it? So it's pretty self-explanatory. This next part says, read remarks on pronunciation, Croy 2. That means you just turn to page 2 in Croy and read remarks on pronunciation. Pretty simple. Now you see some of these, though, they'll say skim. What that means is I just want you to cast your eyes on it, know it's there, and then maybe if you want to reference it later, you can. Reading it, I want you to actually read all the words and try and understand what it says. Skim, just look at it real quick, know that it's there, but know that it's not that important, at least not at this point in the course. Okay? So all that makes sense? I know I'm going fast, but I got a lot I want to say today, and if ever you have a question, just ask it. Okay, so that's just a brief tour of what this document is. Like I said, I'm going to email this to you, and then you can use this as you like. I will be probably making updates to it as we progress through the course, and so I'll be sending you the updates as we go along. I'll revisit this at the end of class to show you what we're doing in the next 2 weeks. Okay, there's another thing that you're going to see in this document that says SSM. So let's see if we can find one here. All right. Saturday, September 20th, quick quiz 1, Croy SSM 11. SSM is the Student Supplementary Materials. That's this PDF, which I'm also going to email to you. This is stuff that is not in this book, but helps with the material in the book. So let's go here and see. It says Croy SSM 11. That means I open up this PDF and I scroll down to page 11. And this is something that I've printed off and have given to you. So what you'll notice as you go through this document is that here's the next time we're meeting, Sunday, in which we're reviewing Chapter 1, and then I'll be presenting Chapter 2. You'll notice that before we meet, you'll always have this quick quiz. Now, that's not homework that I want you to do and then turn into me. There are no grades in this class. But that is for you to look at this quick quiz, and then you can use it to gauge, have I successfully learned the material, and what do I need to focus on? So when we look at this document here, you see review. Review is a task for you to then look at the results of the quiz and then review what you think you need to study. So let's look at this quick quiz right now. This is what you'll be taking at the end of 2 weeks before we meet again. Your tasks on this are to write out the Greek alphabet in lowercase, identify the 7 Greek vowels, name the 3 Greek accent marks, and then just briefly say, what is the Septuagint? If you can do those 4 tasks, congratulations, you're ready to go on to Chapter 2. Now, I'm going to be teaching you more than what's on this quick quiz, things that you should be aware of, but the bare minimum to be able to pass on to the next one is to just do this quiz. And if you take this quiz and you realize, ooh, I don't remember what the Greek vowels are, that doesn't mean you have to do it again. That just means go back and review so that you know what those vowels are, and then you fill it in. Now you've done the quiz. So like I said, I'm never going to do there's no homework that you need to give back to me. The homework is just things for you to study on your own. Make sense? All right. I'll pause there if there's any other questions. I think we have a free seat over here with some more materials if you want to jump in. Okay. Study habits. Like I said in the email I sent previously, it is imperative that you spend at least 15 to 20 minutes studying every day except for Sunday. I'll give you Sunday off. The reason is to keep your brain engaged with the language. Learning a language is not like learning many other things. Learning language is like going to the gym. You have to be consistently in it, even if you think you already know the material. Even if you say, well, I've already read this once, I already know what it says. You got to stay engaged. And so it's very important that you set aside that 15 to 20 minutes of study time every day. During that study time, I want you to turn your phone off, put it away somewhere, and just be fully engaged in the activity 100%. and not to spend that 15, 20 minutes dividing your attention between multiple things. Does that make sense? All right, I know it's been a long time since many of you have studied or done homework, but I know this is kind of basic, but I just want to make sure that you're all on the same page. When you're doing the homework and you're reading something in this book, Croy, or you hear something in a lesson that I'm teaching you, and you don't retain it fully or you don't fully understand it, don't worry about it. The homework assignments are designed to keep you engaged in that material. So really, when you come into class, you're going to hear something from me. You may not fully understand it, but you've heard it from me first. And then in the homework, you may do some reading, and you're going to read about that thing that I taught you in class, and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. But by the time you spent 2 weeks doing the homework, just spending time on those concepts at one after another, well, then it will start to make sense, and then you'll understand it. So don't stress out if you read something in this and you don't understand it, or you hear something in class and you don't understand it. Just know that your study time is going to be learning those things. Okay? All right. Am I going too fast? Does anyone have any questions? All right. What to bring to class? I want you to bring a pencil, a notebook, both of these books, and then a binder or some means to carry loose leaf paper. Because I'll be giving you loose pieces of paper that I don't want you to just fold and put in this book. I want you to be able to access them somehow. So whether or not you bring that folder to class or you leave it at home, just have the capacity to store the handouts that I'm giving you, because they're cumulative and you'll want to be reviewing them as we go along. All right, second thing, this is optional, but I think you will get a lot of value out of it. Does everybody have the YouVersion Bible app? Are you anyone familiar with that? The YouVersion Bible app. Okay. You don't have to do this, but I highly recommend it, and it will help your Greek. The YouVersion Bible app is a free app, and it's just the Bible, and it has some audio Bible recordings on it as well that you can kind of just listen to as you're driving or doing whatever it is. But on the YouVersion Bible app, there's also some Greek Bibles. In order to find them, you open the YouVersion Bible app, you go to versions, go to language, go to Greek, specifically Hellenistike Koine, as you see it written on here, and then you'll see a couple options. If you want to do this, I recommend you download BYZ18 and BYZ04. You don't have to do that right now. It's on the handout that I gave you. And these are recordings of the Bible in Greek. So I'll play BYZ18 real fast so you can hear what that sounds like.
Chapter 6. Metatauta apeusen ho Jesus, Quran tes Pelases tes Galileas, tes Iberiados. I ecoluse auto.
So it's very slow, enunciated, with a lot of unnatural spaces in between the words. That's what this first one is, BYZ 18. And as you learn more of the language and you hear the language, you'll start to understand what that man was just saying. There's a second one called BYZ 04. BYZ, by the way, stands for Byzantine, but that's not important right now. BYZ 04 sounds like this.
Κατά Ιωάννην, κεφάλαιον έκτον. Μετά ταύτα, ήλθεν ο Ιησούς πέραν της θαλάσσης της Γαλιλαίας της Τιβεριάδος. Και ακολούθη αυτό όχλος πολλής, ότι εώρουν αυτού τα θυμία επί των ασθενούντων.
So that is a native speaker with a slightly different pronunciation, not the same pronunciation we're using in this class, but not that different, speaking at the pace you would hear this read in a church, or at the pace you would hear people talking to each other. Now, what you can do is play these recordings as you're going for a run, or going in the car, doing dishes, or whenever, on top of the regular homework. This doesn't replace homework. This is an additive activity. Because the best way to learn a language is to go live in the area where the language is spoken and just absorb it. That's not an option for Koine Greek because there are no communities that speak this. This is a dead, ancient language. The next best thing is to just listen to it being spoken. And what that does is, well, your brain is a pattern recognition machine. You hear these words, you hear the tempo, you hear the sounds, and your brain will immediately start to, in the background, pick it up. And if you do this for a long enough period of time, you will start to intuit what it means without ever having studied that verse exactly. And to help you with this, if you say, I'm going to listen to John chapter 6, maybe just look at the English real quick so that you know what John chapter 6 is about. And so that kind of primes your brain as to the content to listen for, and then just listen to this recording. It is profitable to start this right now, even if you don't know any Greek. And over a couple of years of doing this, it's just it'll do nothing but help you. It'll train you to the rhythms of the language, the sounds of the language, and it'll make reading it even easier. Alternatively, there's also a recording on YouTube, which I have hyperlinked here, but also in the spreadsheet that I showed you, I've hyperlinked it up here. So you can go to YouTube and listen to it as well if you don't want to download an app. Again, that's completely optional, but it will do nothing but help you. A third alternative is something called the Lumo Project. And I'll play real quick. I did this in the info session, but I'll show you another one right now. The Lumo Project is a dramatized version of the New Testament. So the words themselves are the New Testament Greek, but then there's video to go along with it. I'll just play briefly.
Idon deste iok UFOVetisan, και δόξασαν τον Θεόν οντώντα εξουσίαν ποιάπτην της ανθρώπης.
So this is probably one of the most authentic versions of Jesus you'll see, who actually looks Middle Eastern, not just a white guy wearing robes, but actually played by a Middle Eastern man. Because I'm not bringing any news to anybody, but Jesus was Middle Eastern. Okay, so what this does is, rather than just listening to it, now your brain is picking up on visuals. And your brain, just like a child, like how do you learn language as a child? You don't sit there and do flashcards. I mean, maybe you point at pictures and say things, but you're just living in it. You're just hearing it, and you're just seeing the world, and you're correlating the world with the sounds that you hear. That's what this is going to do for you. You don't have to pause it and say, well, I didn't catch that, or what did he say? No, just let it wash over you. Just watch this, hear the words, let your brain make the connections, and then passively absorb the language that way. Like I said, this also is on top of the regular homework. This doesn't replace the homework. This is just an activity that you can do if you so choose. That will do nothing but help you. All right. Next, I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel called Alpha with Angela. We'll have, or as she pronounces it in Greek, Alpha with Angele. This one we're going to be revisiting many times throughout the course. Just some Greek lessons that are very beneficial. So just subscribe to this course. It's an ongoing project. You'll run out of material if you do it alongside here, but then you can just kind of stay current with it and take the lessons as she reviews them. She teaches the language to you as if you are a child. Does not teach you any grammatical rules. She just has puppets, actors, draws pictures, and just as if you were a baby and she was teaching you the language. It's awesome. But since it's an ongoing project, she only has 37 lessons, and she comes out with them like every month or so. You'll quickly exhaust this resource, then you can just stay current with it. So subscribe to that. Next, I'm probably going to say some words you don't understand. I'm going to do my best to define everything that I say. But if I ever say something like syntax, declension, predicate, nominative, noun, verb, article, if I ever say something, with the exception of right now, because that was just an example, please just raise your hand and say, Pastor Graham, what does that mean? I'm going to do my best to define everything while I say it, but if I make a mistake and you don't know what I'm saying, please just stop me. And really, in the same vein, just ask questions at any point in the class. If I'm going too fast or you want me to repeat something, I'll either say, wait a minute, we're getting to that, or I'll stop and answer your question. All right, you guys ready to actually learn some Greek and not just this formal stuff? Okay, lesson 1 is going to sound like a lot, but I just want to remind you, you're hearing it here first, And then you're going to go home and do homework in which you're going to watch some videos on YouTube in which somebody is also explaining it in a different way than I'm going to explain it. And then you'll read it and it'll explain it in a different way. And at the end of 2 weeks, you'll be able to learn this on your own in addition to this class time, okay? So if this sounds like a lot, please don't be intimidated. Just stay with it, know that you'll hear it again, and spend more time with this. The first thing that you need to learn, if you're going to learn Greek, is the alphabet. Now, I know we've got some fraternity and sorority folks here that have learned it. You guys learned the capital letters. I'm not going to teach you the capital letters. You'll pick up the capital letters as you go, because most of Greek that you read is written in the lowercase. So I'm going to play this video real quick. This is the elements of the alphabet, the letters of the alphabet.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon.
I want the fraternity
Zeta,
people to sing
eta,
along.
theta, iota, kappa, lambda,
W,
nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, psi, omega.
Now, fraternity guys, did you notice that they pronounced those a little bit different than you learned them? They said pi instead of pi, phi instead of phi. I want you to use this pronunciation. Forget everything you learned in fraternity. Learn this instead.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, psi, omega. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, psi, omega.
Yeah. And this is where you then sing. Zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu. And if no one sings with me, I don't want to sing by myself. Sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, psi, omega. All right, and she's going to keep doing this. This is your big homework assignment over the next 2 weeks, is to Monday, listen to this song, and then for the next 2 weeks, just play this song and learn it. And the first thing we're going to do in meeting number 2 is sing this together, okay? So that is your big homework assignment. Remember, everything we're doing is for this quick quiz. And if you can sing it, then you'll learn to write it as well. That's another homework assignment, is you'll learn how to write these letters. Okay. So let's talk about the Greek alphabet a little bit. Now, that expression that people say, oh, by the way, I think coffee's probably ready now if anybody wants some. It's there if you want it. Let's talk about the Greek alphabet. There's this expression where people say, it's all Greek to me. And that usually stems from the fact that Greek has a different script. And it just, if you don't know it, it might be confusing. Well, the Greek alphabet has 24 letters, so 2 less than in English. And if you look at these letters and you start to squint, they may start to look a little bit familiar. So let's go over the first one, alpha, right here. What do you think alpha is? A. You already know one. Alpha. Perfect. That's actually where the word alphabet comes from, is the first 2 letters, alpha and beta. What do you think beta sounds like? What sound does it make? B as in boy. Yeah, you already know that. You already know alpha and beta. Now, Greek deviates a little bit from the English alphabet. It doesn't go A, B, C, D. Instead, it goes A, B, G, D. So we've got alpha, beta, gamma. So there's a little bit of a difference. It's not a V, it's a gamma that makes a G sound. And then delta, D. Does that look like a D? Yeah, I mean enough that if you see it and I tell you that it's a D. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Epsilon, perfect. And what do you think epsilon is? It's an E, right? So this, at first glance, this might look a little confusing, but if you just spend a little bit of time with it, you'll see that it's actually pretty intuitive if you already know English. And like I said in the info session, Greek is very much related to English. Don't worry about taking too many notes right now, unless you want to. You're going to be spending 2 weeks on this, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to learn these things. So we've got alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta. Zeta is kind of like a Z, and for the purposes of this class, you can just say it is a Z, even though it doesn't look like one necessarily. I mean, it kind of looks like a Z, I guess. I don't know. But we'll call that, for the purposes of this class, a Z, as in zoo. All right. Next letter is eta. Eta is kind of like an E, and it doesn't have a correlate to the English alphabet if you look at it. There are some H sounds in Greek that is represented with this letter, but it is, we can think of it like a long E. So we've got epsilon here, which is a short E, and we've got a long E sound here. What that means is, I think there's a good example in this book. It says epsilon, on page 1, epsilon is E as in met, But eta is just in the name, eta as in obey or pray. So we've got an and an a sound. So it's both E, but one's a short E, and then a long E, a, as in met and pray. And it's right in the name of the letter as well. If you know the name of the letter, you know what the sound is. Epsilon, eta. Got it? I know I'm going fast, but again, you're gonna be spending 2 weeks with this. The next letter is theta. And when you learn the Greek alphabet, you'll hear kind of a rhythm. Zeta, eta, theta. They all rhyme. We got zeta, eta, theta. Theta is a TH sound, just like in the name. Theta. The next one is not pronounced iota. It's pronounced iota, as in little green Yoda. It's iota. And it is, as you suspect, an I. The next one, what do you think this letter is? Anyone know? K. Yeah, it's kappa. A K and a kappa are the exact same thing in function, sound, everything like that. And it even looks like a K. There is no C in Greek. There's just a kappa. The S sound is represented with a different letter, but there is no C that can sound like a S and a. There's just kappa. Okay? You probably don't recognize this next letter, but it's lambda. Lambda makes an L sound, ol, just like the title, lambda. Next 2 letters, we got mu and nu. If you learned your letters from fraternity, you probably learned that as mu, but it's actually pronounced mu. And it makes an M sound. It kind of looks like an M, I guess, maybe. It looks like a U, but no, think of this like an M, okay? It's an M. It makes the sound of a cow, moo. I've been trying to teach Samuel how to make a cow sound, but he learned it as a really small infant as and so he thinks cows say He refuses to say moo, even though he can say button and other compound words. But he just says Next letter looks like a V. It's not a V. It's a nu. Moo, nu. And it makes an N sound. So we got alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi. This next letter is xi. And it's essentially an X, as in fox. It's an X sound. And it's called xi. Now it's kind of a goofy looking letter. Many people write this many different ways. I had a Greek teacher that wrote it like that. It's kind of confusing. I typically write it like this, but it's a xi, and it makes a X sound. A popular letter? I mean, just as popular as any other consonant, I guess. Yeah. You mean in terms of its frequency, how it pronounces? More frequent in Greek than X is in English. Yeah. And unlike X, an X in English can be a Z sound like a xylophone or something else, but the Xi just makes an X sound. That's it. We've got Omicron. Omicron is an O. It's a short O, as in not. That's what a short O sounds like. Ah, not. Okay. I'll just skip ahead a little bit to its counterpart, omega. Omega is a long O sound, as in vote. O is pronounced right here, and then ah is pronounced right here. Okay? So we got alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron. And here's the next one. Fraternity people, what's this one? Nope, it's P. It's not pronounced pi, it's pronounced P. So just get get those fraternity pronunciations out of your head. This is P, and it makes a P sound. Now this next one that kind of looks like a P, or as an English P, is not P. It's rho. It's an R sound, not a P, even though that's what it looks like. Now this is going to throw you through a loop, but just bear with me. These two letters are the same letter. Greek does this really weird thing. Why? I don't know. Natural development of the Greek language. You'll hear that a lot. It's sigma. If this letter sigma appears at the beginning or in a word somewhere, you write it with this first one. But only when it appears at the end of a word does it look like this. It's kind of weird, but just don't have to get over it. That's just what the Greeks do. So sigma has two different forms. This one at the beginning or interior of the word, and this version at the end of the word. Just once you start looking at enough Greek words and you see it in context, you're not even going to think about it. You'll just recognize it, okay? All right. Almost done. We've got tau, just a T. Nothing fancy. Nothing to see here. Just a T. Upsilon, just a U. Nothing fancy there. Phi, this is a fun one. Phi, not phi, but phi. Whenever you are reading an English word and you see a P, you see a PH, that word is actually Greek. Not in English. The English language stole it. It's actually a Greek word, and it's representing this letter, phi. And so phi is the F sound, the PH F sound, as in father or fox. All right. Next one is xi, not chai, not xi, but xi, and it does not make an X sound. Or sorry, not xi. It's ki. Not xi. That's my mistake. Ki, not chai, but ki. It does not make an X sound, even though that's what it looks like. Does anybody know any German? Anybody know Ich bin ein Berliner? That ich, that sort of CH back to the throat, 10% phlegm. That's what this letter says. Okay? It's kind of like an irritated cat, just like we say key. You don't need to call it key, but it's key, and it makes a sound. All right. This is psi, not psi, psi, and I want you to pronounce it like that with a PS, psi, and that's the sound it makes, PS, as in tipsy or pot, or what's the other? Well, that's the example it has in the books. Tipsy. It's a combination of a PS sound. Pss. All right. And then we already went over omega, which is a long a long O sound. I want this to go away. Okay. What does Christ say? He says, I am the Alpha and I am the Omega, the first and the last. That's what he means. The first letter of the alphabet and the last letter of the alphabet. So when Christ says Alpha and Omega, that's where it's coming from. All right, now you know the alphabet. But if you listen to that song and then you start writing these down, and I have a video that you'll watch this week, which is just somebody slowly writing these letters so you can copy that person and learn how they do it. Sing the song, copy the alphabet down, you'll have this memorized in no time. Again, I know you're going to walk away from class today not knowing the alphabet. That's okay. You'll learn it. You'll learn it over the course of this week. That's your primary goal, learn this alphabet. When I took Greek the first time, or the only time I've actually taken it as a class, we had 1 day to memorize this because it was an intensive course. We did this whole thing in 7 weeks, and we had 1 day to learn this, and then we were looking at words the next day. You're going to have 2 weeks, 2 weeks to learn this. Okay? So don't be intimidated. Just take it day by day, and you'll be fine. Okay. So like I had said briefly, I've been saying things like this is a long sound, a short sound. We've got some vowels in the Greek. In English, it's A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. In Greek, it's alpha, epsilon, iota, omicron, upsilon, eta, and omega. I'll let you read exactly what these say as you are doing your studies. But just I think, where are they in the book? Not sure. You'll pick them up. Just know that there's long and short sounds, and they sound a little bit different. So a short sound of alpha is dad. A long sound is father. Does that make sense? A short sound of epsilon is as in set. A long sound is a as in pray. But the long epsilon is an eta. You've got as in mitten or feet. Opposite. Row, up, root. That's the difference between a long and a short sound. Now, when you look at the quick quiz on page 11, I'm not going to ask you that. I just need you to know what the vowels are. But I want you to just kind of hold in the back of your mind that there's long and short. Okay? So when it comes to regurgitating some knowledge, all you need to do is be able to say alpha, epsilon, iota, etc. Okay, diphthongs. This is a fun word. I laughed at this word when I first learned it because it sounded inappropriate for some reason. Diphthong. We have these in English, you just never think about it. A diphthong is when you take two vowels and you put them together and they now make a different sound that the vowel didn't make. So how do you spell oil? It's like O-I-L, right? That's a diphthong. It's not oil, it's not eel, it's oil. The O and the I together make an oi sound. That's what a diphthong is. And you'll see these in Greek. So let's turn to page 2 in Croy, and you'll see at the bottom of the page 2 and top of page 3 the diphthongs. Got alpha iota as an isle. Epsilon iota as a neighbor, EI. I mean, you can already see these as in English. Omicron iota as an oil. Upsilon iota makes a wee sound as in queen. And then you can read the rest. So these, don't worry about writing these down and memorizing them. Just know that when you put two letters together, they make sort of this different sound. You already do it in English, you don't think about it. And when you see it in Greek, you'll start to do the same thing. And as you hear the language spoken and you practice your reading, you will recognize it and you will come to learn it intuitively. Okay? So just know that that is there. Okay. Again, I've said this a couple times, but I'm moving fast. You're going to be spending 2 weeks with this material, so don't worry about it. Here's a fun one. Accents and breathing marks. So could somebody read this word for me? What does this word say? Anyone? Peter. Why did you say Peter and not Peter? Because that's the way you learned it. Exactly. Well, the way you learned it is there's actually an accent right here. It's Peter. If I were to say Peter, I'd put the accent right there. But in English, we don't bother with the accents because we just know how the language is spoken, right? Here's a famous example. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. If I were to say emphasis on the wrong syllable, maybe you understand what I'm saying, but you look at me weird and wonder what country I was from, right? You say emphasis on the right syllable. But you don't bother with the accents because you know what the language sounds like. Greek does bother with the accents. Greek puts the accents in. So does anyone understand what an accent is doing? It's telling you what syllable you put the emphasis on, right? Now, because you're a native English speaker, at least I believe most of you are, you don't think about it. You do it intuitively. But because you're not native Greek speakers, you need these accents to tell you what emphasis to put which syllable to put the emphasis on. So you're going to see every Greek word has these little accents somewhere in the word, and it tells you. Now, I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to stop, look at the Greek word, look at the accent, and make sure you're pronouncing it correctly. Just read the word. And then as you spend time in it and you see these, again, you will intuitively know what the language is supposed to sound like. So there's this famous Greek word, logos. We say logos. We do not say logos. We say logos, right? And that's what that accent is doing. Now there are three kinds of accents. There is an acute accent, which angles up. There's a grave accent that angles down. And there's something called a circumflex. It looks like you see it in Spanish sometimes. Acute, grave, and circumflex. There are all of these fancy rules that dictate where in the word this accent falls. And I want you to know those rules are there. It'll be part of your reading to read those rules, but you do not need to memorize those rules. The only reason why you would ever need to know those rules is if you're working on composition and you're writing and you want to make sure you put the accents. We're not learning to compose Greek. We're learning to read it. You may do some copying. You may do a little bit. We'll do some writing in this course, but I don't want you to worry about these accents. Or I don't want you to worry about learning how to place the accents. Just know that the accents are there and what they're doing. Okay? Those are breathing marks. That's the next part. That's the next thing I'm learning. I'm gonna teach you. So we've got these accents. We've got the acute, grave, circumflex. And for our purposes, they all do the exact same thing. They just tell you which syllable to put the emphasis on. That's all they're doing. There's an idea that at some point in the history of Greek, it had a lyrical quality to it, and it may have been sung to a degree. Maybe not singing like we understand it, like a song, but it had a flow to it that was also indicative of the meaning of the word. If that existed, it has been lost to history. There were no tape recorders back then. We don't know what this language sounded like. We just are left with these accents. Okay? That's another important point I want to make about not knowing what this language sounds like. Don't overstress it that you may be pronouncing something incorrectly. Like I want you to pronounce your betas as B's and your P's as P's. But as you read a word and you're reading in class, don't worry that you're pronouncing it right or wrong. No one knows what this language sounded like. There's modern Greek speakers, but this is 2,000 years older than what modern Greek speakers do, so it's different. So don't worry about it. Don't ever get self-conscious. Just read the word, and we'll go from there. Okay, so Nancy had just asked about these guys. These are called breathing marks. There's two kinds of breathing marks. They look like that, like a comma, and look like this, a comma facing the opposite direction. What a breathing mark does is, all right, here's an example. We've got one here on this word oligos, looks like that, and we've got one here facing the other direction that looks like hrabi. A breathing mark, if it looks like this, a backwards comma, it means you aspirate. That means you make an H sound. That's called aspirating. So you don't pronounce this word. Anyone want to try to pronounce that? We don't pronounce this as rabbi. We pronounce it, because there's an aspiration here, crabby. Does that make sense? And then if you have an opposite one here, they just put this at the beginning of every word that begins with a vowel, and that signifies that you don't aspirate it. So really, you could write words without this. This is just reminding you that there is no aspiration. But this backwards comma, aspiration. So we pronounce this one angelos, not hungelos. If instead of this guy we had a backwards one, we pronounce it hungelos. But it doesn't exist. We have this regular comma, so it's angelos. Make sense? Okay, those are the accents and breathing marks. Any questions at this point? Okay, syllables. In your and over the course of reading, you'll start to hear about rules of how syllables are divided. I don't want you to worry about knowing those rules. As you read this language, you'll intuitively develop an understanding of where the syllables should be divided. So what is a syllable? We've got blasphemia, which means blasphemy. This is a syllable, blasphemia, 4 syllables. Again, there are fancy rules that dictate where the syllables are broken up in a word. I don't want you to sweat memorizing those rules. If you just read the language, you'll develop an intuition. In the same way that when you read an English word, you know exactly where to separate the syllables. Okay? The only reason you would need to know exactly how a word is spaced out in syllables is if you want to learn where the accents go. So maybe down the road, as you gain proficiency in the Greek language, you want to learn that granular detail. Then you can study, well, technically, how do I divide up syllables? And then technically, where do the accents go? But for your purposes, you don't need to know that. Okay? If you want to learn it, it's in the book, in the chapter, and you can study it. But I'm telling you right now, it's not important. At least not in this stage of the game. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Study schedule for the next 2 weeks. So like I said, we need to study every day, 15 to 20 minutes. And if you're questioning, what do I need to study to stay on topic? Follow this schedule and you'll be fine. Each of these tasks are divided up into about 15 to 20 minutes. Some of them are actually a little bit shorter. Some of them are about 5 minutes. There's even a column here for completion where you can just draw an X and signify that you've done that task. If you know you're going to be going on vacation, maybe you just work ahead and you spend some time doing some tasks. Or if you fall behind, you know exactly what you need to do in order to stay caught up. As you work your way through these tasks, you're going to start to see some repetition. And you'll say, wait a minute, I've already read this, or I've already done this exercise. Well, that repetition is purposeful, because the two key, short of living in an area where a language is spoken, the key to studying a language in the way that we are doing it, in self-study classroom setting, is repetition and consistency. Seeing the same thing over again and consistently keeping yourself in the language. And if you follow this schedule, that will be taken care of for you. You don't need to worry about writing your own schedule. So the next 2 weeks before we meet again on the 21st, I'm going to go over just briefly the kinds of things you'll be doing. First is I've got this YouTube video that is just why you want to learn Greek, just to keep your eyes on the prize, because as this starts to get tedious or you get bored, keep in mind why we're doing this. We're doing this so that we can engage in the Word of God in its native form, in its purest form, in the way that it was revealed to us. And that's the whole reason why we're doing this. And then on Monday, starting tomorrow, you're going to listen to that alphabet song. And if you read my note here that I've written on the side, start listening to this song every day in the car, dishes, walks, wherever, until you get it memorized. I think if you hear it 5 times, you should be able to sing it, and then just sing it to yourself. Okay? And then Tuesday, we've got a video of, again, why to learn Greek, why to learn to read it fluently, not just understand some fun facts about it, to be able to read it fluently. Just, again, keep our eyes on the prize. And then you're going to continue singing the Greek song. Wednesday, there's this video that I really want you to watch. Now, this is a little bit longer. This is the only time I'm going to do this to you. It's a 40-minute video. If you don't have time to watch the whole thing, then don't watch the whole thing. But what it is this guy named Robert Plummer, who you're going to meet many, many times in this course throughout videos. He's a Greek professor, and he is giving a presentation on how to build effective study habits from this book called Atomic Habits. Has anyone ever heard that book before? Atomic Habits? He's taking the lessons from Atomic Habits, and he's applying it specifically to the study of Greek. And he's telling you, hey, if you want to stay in Greek every day, it's a presentation on, scientifically speaking, this is the best way to do it. And he's going to give you study habits, tips, things like that. So I want you to try and watch that. If you don't have time, again, it's not teaching you Greek, it's teaching you about learning Greek. Yeah, watch that. I've got another video that's very similar. Continue learning the alphabet song. Another video that is study tips for learning a biblical language, geared towards Hebrew, but the principles apply to Greek. And then I've got a video on accents, some reading from the book, and this other video. If you look over here in the margins, this video, only watch the first 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and then you watch the second half of the video down here. Okay, so make sure that you're reading this column right here. And then Monday, I've got some reading from the book. By this point, you should have the alphabet song memorized. Some other videos about the language, practicing writing the alphabet, a video that shows you how to write it, something about accents, breathing marks, some exercises, taking a quiz, and then we meet again on the 21st. All right? So when we meet again on the 21st, what we're going to do is we're going to review, just real quickly, everything that we learned here today. We're going to sing the alphabet song together. We're going to do a little bit of reading. I'm going to guide some reading. And then I'm going to present chapter 2, which is not as much material as I just taught you now. Then, after our next meeting, you have an entire month with chapter 2. All right? Because we're gonna do chapter 2. We're going to break for 2 weeks. And then we're just going to read together. We'll be reading in groups. There's a little dialogue that you can all play a part. We'll be reading together as a group. Very simple. And then we'll all read it together. And then you go home for 2 more weeks and you just spend some more time on that dialogue, not learning any new material. And then after a whole month of time with chapter 2, then I give you chapter 3. And then we'll just do that over and over again. 2 weeks on your own, come back, just read together. Go back home, 2 weeks of just reading by yourself. Come back, and then after a month, I give you new material. All right? And that is everything for today.